Good evening, folks, and welcome to your Friday night podcast here with Four Lads Had a Dream. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined tonight by two of my very favourite podders, Andrew and Amrit. Same team again from last Friday night. Very nice to keep this together. Amrit, pleasure to have you as always. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Yeah, no, delighted to be here on a Friday night, mate. I was just thinking today that since I've joined Four Lads, I've never podded when the sun's been out because I joined, at the start of the season. So what was that, like October time, I think I started. And just after the Sturm Graz game away. And obviously, it's obviously dark at that time of year. And today I was sitting in the dining room and I can see the garden and the sun's out and the sky's blue, which is wonderful as well. So yeah, a really, really nice feeling to do this on a Friday night, Good Friday, with two of my good mates. So yeah, life is good, mate. Life is good.
Lovely. I mean, Amrit, I had never in doubt that I would get some positivity from you. Andrew, I know obviously that you are in mourning right now, but I'm glad that you've suffered through and been able to join us. Despite everything. So yeah, we appreciate your sacrifice and that you're working through the pain to join us tonight, mate.
Yeah, I thought it was only appropriate to put the black armband on, just as a kind of, in memoriam, for our dearly beloved number 17. Sadly moving on. But Matondo Mania will run wild forever, forever in the hearts, forever in my heart. So I wish him nothing but the best as he embarks on his new chapter. And I'm hoping that it's going to be mutually beneficial as we go on to our next stride and hopefully start to put Silver things back where they should be, and we can move on. I'm happy to be joining you, kind of nulling the pain. It's a pleasure to be with you both tonight.
No, I appreciate you coming on, mate. And we've had a small revelation that there is the other Matondo fan, John B. Hall, joining us tonight. So yeah, that's good. That's good to see that.
I'll take that.
Yeah. So obviously, we know that the boys have talked to death pretty much everything else that we could talk to death from this last international break. Finally, mercifully, we are at the end of that. We are now back into the good stuff. So the real football's happening for 2 weeks. And then we go back and have another break. But nonetheless, the football is coming tomorrow. Amrit, you're going to be on the gantry. We are hopeful that it's going to be a good, fun time. Our record against Dundee United is good. The last 10 games, we've drawn 3 of them and lost none of them. So we've won the rest of them. But hey, I mean, it's getting to that tickly bit at the end of the season. So, initial thoughts about the game. How are you feeling?
I mean, I think if we look at the remaining 7 games of the season, on paper, I believe that tomorrow is probably the most manageable game of all those 7 remaining games, I would say. Now, that's not to say there's not a threat there. Of course there is, absolutely. There's no space for complacency. There's work to be done in order for us to get 3 points. But I do think of all the fixtures that remain, this one is probably I say it in inverted commas, but probably the most easy. That being said, we must acknowledge as well that we've played them twice this season, as you said. We've drawn twice. We've conceded 4 goals against Dundee United in 2 games. Now, I can't think of another team who have scored 4 goals in their 2 games against us, or their first 2 games. I think Hearts is the only team that scored more than 4 goals against us this season, but they've played us 3 times. So that's a really good return from a Dundee United perspective. So they've got goals in them. We need to be very aware of that. There's no space for complacency in this team. But I do think that if we show up and we play the game that we want to play, we play the game in their half, pressing high, with the intensity, moving the ball quickly and playing to our strengths, then I genuinely feel will be too much for Dundee United, especially at Ibrox, because I'm predicting that tomorrow, and I'll be part of this, by the way, that tomorrow we will see an atmosphere at Ibrox that we have not seen or experienced in a very, very long time. I truly believe, having spoken to people, listening to podcasts, hearing what's going on in the forums, the word on the street, everybody is really up for this tomorrow, the Rangers fans especially. And I think we're going to bring a level of intensity and energy from the stands, the likes of which we haven't seen in a long time. And I think the players will feel that. And it's incumbent on all of us to contribute towards that energy, because we are on the cusp of going to the top of the table tomorrow. Now, that's real. That's factual. There's no debate around that. We win, we go top of the league. That's a fact. And that'll be the first time we're top of the league for the entire season. And we're getting there at the very right time, at the most critical time in the season, to shift that pendulum in our favour and change up the narrative and strike fear into the hearts of our enemies that, listen, Rangers are coming good at the right time. And I think the timing of that is so important. So, listen, it's all there tomorrow. And I think you'll feel an electricity in Ibrox with 55,000 Bears tomorrow. It's going to be a very special place to be tomorrow.
I know, if nothing else, there's going to be passion coming from the press gantry. So, yeah, very excited to see the vlog afterwards, mate. Yeah, Andrew, obviously, as Amrit says, this is the first opportunity this season. Well, not the first opportunity, the first time this season that we can actually go top of the league, which is wild to think about. I don't want to make it about where we came from, but it has to be in that context of, like, we set fire to ourselves at the start of the season. The fact that we are in this position now is a small miracle by itself. But that's never going to be good enough for Rangers. That's not going to be good enough for the fans. It should not be good enough for these players, and it certainly shouldn't be good enough for this manager. So tomorrow is the opportunity to really set out our marker. We can put ourselves at the top of the league and invite the two teams who are playing on Sunday. Come on, chase us. It's there. We have the opportunity. And as Amrit says, hopefully, with this being the most straightforward game that we have of our 7 cup finals, that this is the opportunity that we can take.
Well, yeah, I think it's massive. I mean, as we've spoken about many times so far, is that 3 points puts you tied on points with Hearts and you go ahead on goal difference. I do think it's also really important to point out that Dundee United are just off the back of beating Celtic, albeit at home. But points-wise, it's technically not impossible that they make 6th and get into the split. So they've got something definitely to play for, because they need to beat us to even have a chance, because their final game before the split is Livingston. So they need to take all points, and then they need a goal difference swing. So they will 100% be up for it. And I believe that was what Danny had alluded to, and that they're going to be coming to upset us. And we need to be ready for that. I mean, this is very important for us, but also very important for the opposition as well, on top of it already being everybody's cup final playing Rangers. So, yep, massive opportunity for the players. So this is the challenge that we have laid forth to them as a support. We'll give you our backing. We always do. Rains, shine or snow. We're always there for the team. As you said, we don't want to use it as an excuse, but our major false start at the start of the season has led us to be playing catch up for all this time, and this is our first real tangible attempt to say to everybody else, so we've did our bit, catch us, boys. So yep, I hope, and I think as Amrit said, there's going to be a bouncing atmosphere. Everyone will be pulling for the same direction, and it's just up to the players to do that on the park for 90 minutes. I hope that it'll be 2-3 goals potentially, and then by that 70th minute mark you can really feel that feel good factor, knowing that we did our job today, and then the table will speak for itself.
Yeah. We are going to dive into the press conference. That's obviously the big news that came out today. There's a talking point that we are going to get to, because I'm going to ask you for your team predictions, so we'll deal with that bit when we get to it. But I want to touch on a few bits of the other news from that first. We had conversations from Danny Roll about Finlay Curtis making his Scotland debut. Obviously, we know that he's been very effective for Gilly. Ironically enough, in a position where we could really use reinforcements right now. But yeah, Scott Olsen's coming in January. On paper, it makes sense. So I'm over it, mostly. Now, Um, I think it's a really good thing, and hopefully it will bear fruit. Amrit come his return in the summer. I think he's done nothing but make a good argument for himself to come right back into this team and stake a claim for a first team slot. And that's what we should be doing. I think our transfer policies in the youth academy has not allowed too many youth prospects to come through. It's always debatable as to what you should do, whether you should try and force them into the first team, even if they aren't ready. We have seen how that has negatively impacted a lot of players for Rangers. But at the same time, I think the truism is true that if you are old enough, if you are good enough, rather, then you are old enough. So. Yeah, an interesting one, but obviously still really good to see Finlay Curtis getting his flowers from the manager, and good to know that he is part of the plans for the summer when he returns to his parent club.
Yeah, I've always had the utmost admiration for Finlay Curtis. I think as a professional, as a young guy, he loves this club and we love him. He's always given us 100%. He was always available, and I think putting him out to Kilmarnock was absolutely the right choice, because if we hadn't done that, there's no way that Finlay Curtis would have got his international debut this week. That wouldn't have happened. So we've contributed towards his development by allowing him to spread his wings and go and express himself at Kilmarnock under the tenureship and leadership of a good Rangers man as well, in Neil McCann. So he's been looked after, and he'll be getting the right information from the right people about how he needs to develop and expand his game. And I think he's a true professional. The interesting thing for me, Andrew, is if Finlay Curtis was a Kilmarnock player and he was playing as he has been playing since he went on loan there, we'd all be jumping up and down right now going, oh, have you seen that laddie Curtis at Kilmarnock? We need to sign him. We need to sign him. We need to sign him. So, it's really strange, and he's our player. So there's got to be something in maybe getting him back over the summer. It's a hard one for me. I don't know. Do we bring him back in the summer, let him have a pre-season with Rangers, experience what it means to play with hopefully a squad that's just won the league, and then put him out on loan again? Or does Danny Rule see him as being able to contribute? It's one of those. You can see an argument for both. But he's a really exciting player, a great talent. And I'm just glad he's our player. And I think we've got to nurture and look after him and try and bring him through as best as we can. I think a lot of managers in the past have almost turned their nose up at not just Scottish Rangers players, but players from our league in general, as if they're not good enough. And we go to these far-flung places all around the world to go and spend money on players like Cifuentes and others that we don't know anything about and spend millions of pounds on them. They come here, they're a dud. You're not telling me there's not better options here at grassroots football in Scotland. I'm sorry, I don't accept that at all. So, yeah, Finlay's a great wee player, and I'm excited for him, and I'm really happy for him as well.
Yeah, I think it's always been the argument. If your academy is working properly, then you should be producing players who can be squad players effectively. We've spent far too much money on players who, because of the leagues that they're coming from, you have to pay, I think, over the value. Definitely from England, that is always going to be a market where you are paying above what a player's true value to your team is going to be. So, yeah, I'm excited to see it. Another player who was getting his flowers, Andrew, was Manny Fernandez. Scored, now international player. Emmanuel Fernandez scored, contributed to a 2-2 draw for his home country, and another player who is increasing his value. I mean, Stevie's talking about 20 million for him. This is before he's even got Champions League football and been a league winner. So we've got plenty of positives there, and it's good to see us kind of growing the assets within the team. That's good for the transfer side of things. Great. But for me, I'm just excited that we've got a player who looks like he's going from strength to strength in the building right now.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at our summer window, it's incredible that now you've got a guy like Yusuf Chimiti who's playing, for his international team, albeit at the unders level, but was discussed by Portuguese manager. You've got Mane, who's made the pivot from England international to Nigerian international and has made his full debut, scored, as you said. All of a sudden, the summer window doesn't look too half-backed, does it, lads? That says a lot, given the criticism that we gave it early on. But I think you can also then lean into, well, this man management of our new coach. Has he just managed to get the best out of these players? I think you'll see more of that as his tenure goes on. I think we've seen a strong transfer strategy, especially players like Tochi Chukwani. I think Ryan Nadiri will be one of those players. I think there was talk about him maybe pivoting to maybe Bulgaria. I think was maybe discussed for him to change his nationality, so he can play international football as well. That's just another market for our players to be advertised in. Manny, I love the big guy. He's superb. He has a great way of expressing his feelings on the park. You see him angry at himself when he misses headers. You see him angry at his teammates when they make mistakes, and that's the kind of how vocal you need your centre backs to be. I think I don't want to be rude to Jack, but I think Jack Butland is a wee bit not vocal enough. I don't think he shouts enough compared to Alistair McGregor, where you would get a scream, a battering potentially. So compared to what we have now, I don't think Jack is as vocal, and I think at least the centre backs need to pick up some of that slack. And Manny is never shying away from expressing his feelings on how the game's going, mistakes being made, and just try to carry that standard through the 90 minutes. A player that again has seemed to have sparked a lot of interest. We've seen this all before with Calvin Bassey, his international teammate. A player that we just grew to love, and he would be swooped away from us. So I would be sad if that were to happen again, because he's a great personality. By all means, by all accounts, a really good lad to be around. Mm-hmm. But if it's a good price tag for Rangers, then we just need to do it again.
I think the good thing is that we are not in a position where we are under pressure to sell. He's committed his future to the club. He's got a long-term contract. By all accounts, he's settled. He's happy. It'll have to be something a bit silly to make us part of it.
We hold the cards for a change.
Yeah. I mean, weird. It's weird that that's actually happened for a bit. Amrit, we got another bit of confirmation. This has been rumoured, but confirmation that the players will be going away to a training camp after the final pre-split fixture. So after the Falkirk game, we have a free weekend then, as do Hearts. Hearts are doing the same thing. Pre-season, well, not a pre-season training camp, but a mid-season or nearly end of season training camp away in Spain. It's an interesting one because I think there is scar tissue over previous times where we have gone away in January to Dubai or places like that. And then it's appeared that our league form has fallen off a cliff afterwards. I think there's a stereotype that it will just be an opportunity to go away for a piss up. I do not believe that Danny Roll will be encouraging that sort of behaviour. And I believe that there's going to be a bounce game, a friendly game during the course of that as well. Whether that's Rangers TV or not, we shall see. I'm sure we'll get reports, and it'll be something that we can catastrophize about, or say, yeah, we're going to come back and destroy it in the split, depending on the result. But I think it's a good opportunity to get some dedicated training time that these players just have not had the opportunity for. There's been little bits and pieces they've had, obviously, since our exit from Europe, since our exit from the Cups as well. We've had, a lot of clean, just week by week, one game a week opportunities, but we haven't really had an opportunity, I think, to give us that full kind of stretch, that opportunity to have a long kind of training period. Hopefully, that allows Danny Roll to get some more stuff across to the players, and we can reap the results, reap the rewards as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Andrew. Traditionally, I have never been a fan of mid-season jaunts away for Rangers, purely because of what you said, that there is residual scar sediment on the base that's always there after what happened in Dubai with Gerrard and all the rest of it. But notwithstanding that, I have faith in Danny Rule, and I have faith in his decision making and his motivations for doing it. And I know that he will want to go away. You've got to remember, he's not had a pre-season with these players. And this isn't a pre-season, but it's almost like a mini little getaway for the team. There's lots of good that can come out of this if it's done correctly. And I have the faith that Danny Rule will, because the good things that can come out of it is that before the most important 6 games of the season, they're going to be together. They're going to be living together, eating together, playing together, sleeping together. They're around each other constantly. They're not going to training, then going home, spending time with their families, coming back in the next day. They're all there, whether it's in a little village together, and the rooms are close by and they're sharing rooms or whatever they're doing, but they're in each other's pocket. And I think that's good for relationship building. I think it's good for connection within the players, that you're there with a shared purpose over a period of time, without distractions, without the noise, without all the blah from the media and fans and everything else. You're just in this little cocoon, completely isolated from the outside world, and you're focused and dialed in on what it is that you need to do in order to win this league. And I'm sure Danny Rule will be making sure that that's communicated clearly. He'll have them dialed in on their training, their nutrition, their recovery, their recuperation, everything that's involved in getting these athletes and assets, because that's what they are, making sure our assets are, get an MOT or a service ready for the 6 games that are coming their way. So I think it's a good idea in that sense, as long as we do, or as long as Danny does what it's intended to do, which is to make sure that they're focused. Because when you're looking at preparation for games, and you touched on this, Andrew, it's always preparing for the next game. So your eyes are on that, and you're maybe doing patterns of defence and attack and things that you want to analyse, but you don't really get that extended period. When they're away, they can perhaps start to dial into certain things that they want to do moving into the end of the season without the distraction or the burden of thinking about the next game. And I think that's really, really important. And hopefully you can communicate ideas that they can work and build on. Because sometimes if they're training here, maybe they're in on a Monday, they do a few hours in the morning, they don't visit that subject or that topic again till the next day. Whereas Danny can say, right, in the morning, guys, we're going to do this. And then I want you guys to go away, think about it in the afternoon. And then in the evening session, we're going to hit it again. So you've got that continuity and that momentum, so we can implement ideas quickly, efficiently, and then have them practiced and rehearsed on an ongoing basis, which will hopefully then stick them in the minds and the behavioural patterns of the players. That would be my hope. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, hell, it's all going to come in the context, right? If we don't manage to get 6 points in the next 2 games, then folk will be rioting regardless. So, we shall see what happens. Andrew, let's get into it then. I want to get your predicted teams for the game this weekend, but we know from Danny Roll that a player has picked up an injury that's going to rule him out of 2 games. See folk in the comments making predictions. Officially, and I've asked Stevie, we do not know for sure who the player is. We can't say for sure. I've seen Romans, I've seen Dio, I've seen the Deary in the comments. We don't know for sure. So with that in mind, I mean, knowing that we potentially have a player out, who are you going for your starting 11, Andrew?
At this point in time, I think it's crucial to stress that we have adequate depth for all scenarios. I think it's key to say that if it were with 2 Romans out, then you've got a very reliable left back in Jaden Magoma. And you can say, Romans has been so brilliant, but Magoma has gotten us to this point so far, all the way to January by himself. For a young lad, of his age, that's a massive task to be the starting left back at our club. All the European qualifiers and Europa League, not the best outings for a club as a whole, but you have to learn from those. And I think that experience, will be crucial for him in his long-term career. But I think this gives him an opportunity to get his feet under him again and get back into it. If it is going to be Romans that's out, if it's Dio out, I think again you've got good strength in the midfield. I think bringing in Chigwani in January is a masterstroke. I think he really has all the makings of being, a really, really talented central midfielder that can go as far as he wants to in the game. He's already had experiences in Europe with Sturm Graz before. I think he's a real talent. Getting Connor Barron back after his injury absence, another superb player. I think if we can lock him up long term, which from what I get told is on the cards, would be great for also growing again our Scottish backbone, but a player that's just one of the best in that position in the league. Obviously, you've got your Nico still there after his Belgian duty again. You've got a Belgian international in your team in the midfield. It's rubbing shoulders with Kevin De Bruyne, as even guys like Hans Vanaken, who tore us apart for Bruges in the Champions League or in the Europe. So it's real quality to be rubbing shoulders with. And if it's Ryan Adiri up top that's out, then you have Bojan there, who I know he did score against Aberdeen. It was chopped off for an incident back in 2004 or something like that. But especially since he called him back early from Macedonia duty, having him back in amongst the squad preemptively would be useful. So I think we're covered. I'm not saying that the three of them are sorry, it's just Romans out. By all means, it's a massive blow. Same with Dio, same from the Dairy. But this is why we have depth, and yeah, I'm happy with whatever we see. I'm happy that we've got Scott Olsen back as well, another player, just to strengthen our numbers as a whole. So yeah, whatever the starting 11 is going to be, it'll just have to be that. But yeah, depth is key.
Yeah, and I think that's been a drum I banged plenty of times in the run up to January, just that how exposed we were with only Homer at left back. Having those options, having depth in positions now, Amrit, where we do have options. If we have an injury, or whoever the injury is, we don't know yet. But whoever it is, we know that we do have depth in the squad. As Andrew says, we know that we have options in these different positions. And I would like to think, and I mean, Rangers have proved me wrong plenty of times just this season alone, but I would like to think that we have more than enough quality in our team to be able to brush them aside. Treat them with all due respect. They are in 7th. They have the opportunity, albeit unlikely, to push themselves into 6th. I think they need like an 8-goal swing. But this season, I wouldn't put money against anything happening, quite frankly. So, yeah. How are you looking to line up the team tomorrow, Amrit?
Yeah, I think that if we're assuming, I'm just going to assume for the purposes of this exercise that Romans is the one that's injured. So Magoma picks himself. Your back four is then obviously going to be Fernandes and Jigga. Great partnership, doing really well together. A good understanding. It's great to see that Jigga has now come onto a game. Manny and Fernandes and him have established a really strong partnership and relationship at the back, and we're solid. We're absolutely solid. At the back's not a concern for me, if I'm honest. You know, I know Romans, I'm a huge fan of Romans. I said that he's Arthur Newman reincarnated as far as I'm concerned. So huge respect for him, not just for what Romans does defensively, but it's the way that he works in our system offensively, because he's the one that's given license to maraud up that left line, create overloads out in the wide areas. Mikey Moore comes inside, Romans goes outside him, and we know from his ability getting into really critical, important positions for this team in advanced areas of the park where he's picking up the ball, and he's not just firing the ball into the box, he's picking out individuals, and he's been really successful and accurate with that. So he is going to be a miss, but there's no question in my mind that Magoma can do the job. More than adequate replacement, in my opinion. 19-year-old laddie, like Andrew said, never been injured, by the way. Laddie's played over 30 games this season for us, and he's never been bloody injured. He's always there. So fair play to him. I think he'll do a great job. And then on the right, listen, this is a big discussion point, which I think a lot of people are going to have their own opinions. Do you go Tav or do you go Sterling? I'm going to get in trouble. See, whatever I say, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. I can't win.
Of course.
Can I just skip?
Every answer is the wrong one.
Andrew, can I skip? Can I skip this part and just go on to
this is what it's all about, baby.
Pick 10 players and leave that one.
Just whoever.
Right, okay, I don't care. Bring the heat. Tomorrow at right back, I'm playing Tav. I'm playing Tav because I know, Andrew, I know, mate. I'm playing Tav for a couple of reasons. I'm playing Tav because I think offensively, for me personally, I think Tav offers more going forward than Sterling does. Sterling is a better defender, in my opinion. Absolutely no doubt about it. No question. That's not even a contest. Sterling is a far superior defender than James Tavernier. But I think what we need to be looking at tomorrow, I think there's more opportunity going forward than there is about danger coming the other way against us.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in that scenario, James Tavernier perhaps being 50% the defender that Sterling is enough for us, because he offers so much more going forward, which is where we need to do the damage. So I'm going James Tavernier, and his club captain, and he popped off what an absolute belter right into the top bins against Aberdeen. So I think on that alone, he deserves a start. So Tav, then you're going Nico and Chikwani. We know that. You'll be Mikey Moore, and I think Skov Olsen will come back into the fold as well. Skov, listen, we've talked this to death as well about Skov Olsen. He's not done what we want him to do. He's not performed the way we would have hoped. We need to persevere with him in the hope that over the next couple of games he finds some form, and then moving into the split games he starts to turn it on, because we'll need him to do that at the critical time. So it's a tough one, because how many times can you continually try to give this guy an opportunity when you've got someone like Bajrami sitting on the bench chewing at the bit saying, well, listen, you keep going with Skov, he's giving you nothing. What do I need to do to get into this team? We've got Connor Barr in there as well, so maybe Connor Barr will come on at some point during the game and get some minutes as well. He might even start Barron alongside Raskin and drop Chukwani. We don't know. But the great thing, and both of you alluded to this point, is there's sufficient depth there everywhere. So there's a combination of so many possibilities there. I think Nadiri has to start for me. I know he's not scored goals. I get that, absolutely. But what he offers to that team in terms of work rate is it's unquestionable what he's doing off the ball, and to get the ball back for us. He offers so much more than goals in that team. And I think his contribution is key to our success in the final third. So I'm going with Nadiri, and then, you take your pick. Chermiti, he could turn up tomorrow and score a hat-trick, or he could have 15 chances and fluff every single one of them. You just don't know what you're going to get with him. But if it was him or Miovski, if you're asking me to choose between Miovski and Chermiti, I'm going with Chermiti all day. I mean, he played well for Portugal as well midweek. He got a goal, which was good. So I would go with him. So that would be my thoughts over the starting 11. But like Andrew said, listen, whatever we get tomorrow, there's no question in my mind that whatever 11 starts has to be, must be, and is strong enough to beat Dundee United at Ibrox, because Ibrox has never been our problem. So that would be my thoughts, Andrew. Let the hate commence in the comments.
Absolutely. I think regardless of who's playing, I don't think the team that starts is going to be the team that finishes. I would like to think that if it's either Tav or Sterling, whichever one isn't starting, still gets a good half an hour, because I think keeping both of those options fresh, not pushing Sterling too much and not wanting to overexert Tav either, you're trying to keep both options there fit and hungry, and prepared to play as well. Andrew, for you, any major changes to Amrit's proposed solution? Are you gonna say it's time for Max Aarons to come back in out the cold, or where are we at?
I don't pick random players and just say they're brilliant. That's not how I do things, Andrew. You know that.
There's a logic.
I think. It's purely statistical. I think having Scuff Olsen back gives you that option, especially with Kisama. We've seen Moore off the left. I think that's a dead cert that if Moore's fit, he plays off that left, because it gives you that inside kind of winger, that inverted winger almost. He can cut inside and he can drive. Obviously, to Romans, as we'd said, is brilliant at getting beyond him. Magoma, if it is Romans out, we'll have to do the same. But we've seen Gisamo on the right so many times, and we're just left kind of, it's not the same. He doesn't have the same kind of zip to his game. Having Scuff Olsen back on the right gives you something a more natural right-sider. Also give you that option of Gisamo off the bench, as you said, in that 60 minutes or 70, because we've seen him come on in games and he looks brilliant because he's going at a tired defence. He has that X factor when there's a bit of tired legs, and we've got goals from it. So yeah, that's another good bit of depth, I'd say, in our wingers. As Amrit said, as we've said many times, we're looking for that 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 performance from Andreas Scuff Olsen. We've seen it in flashes. We've seen his delivery. We've seen he has the eye for a goal. We've seen him score a lovely touch and finish. He just needs to find it consistently. I would say that this is the perfect time to do it. This run in, if he was going to find a time to do it, then it would be the perfect one. I have faith in him. It's about finding those kind of connections, and we've seen, as I said, the bright spots are incredible. It's just almost building those pathways with players and knowing where someone's going to be, and just doing that in the regular. So yeah, I think even as we've talked about, the trip away, that would be good for that as well, where you are again picking up that kind of conversation with players. What do you like? How do you like the ball there? What am I expecting you to come? Sure, you're going to go long. Having those kind of just those wee intricate details that you can pick up in that isolated environment. So I'd hope to see the best out of him in the running. But as I said, plenty of depth, plenty of options, and as you said, rotation during the game, because there's no point in running players out for 90 if you've got replacements on the bench who you're used. You should be given minutes to.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, I'm not. I think Amrit, your team is probably not too far away from what I'd go for. Again, with the question marks over particular players being injured, as I said, we don't know for sure who it is. So, yeah, we will see when the team sheet comes out at 2:00 tomorrow. But I'm excited. I'm excited, lads. The football's back. It's felt like a long old international break. I'm sure it's been very good for FIFA, but it's been not good for me. So I'm excited that the football is back and we can get back to the good stuff tomorrow. So I want to thank my two lovely co-hosts. Always a pleasure. Always makes it so easy having you both on. I'm enjoying the AAA podcasting team that we've got here. So Amrit, my thanks to you first of all. Always appreciate you, and I hope you have fun on the gantry tomorrow.
Thank you very much, mate. Another great pod. Happy to be part of the team. Looking forward to tomorrow. I must admit, I really am. I don't think Stevie will be when I rock up, but. Really looking forward to tomorrow. It's a great experience in the gantry, being in the press room and just feeling the buzz around the place. And it's a really special experience. And I'm really grateful for it as well. Grateful to Four Lads, grateful to Rangers that we get this opportunity, because it's something you dream about as a child, being able to be there and feel that energy. It's a completely different experience from sitting watching it from your own seat, because you're sitting with Stevie just moaning the whole thing. No. No, at all. But it's hard for me as well, mate, because I think to myself, right, I'm trying to be quite professional. I'm in the gantry and there's other media guys there that you see on the telly and all the rest of it. And, Amrit for Falkirk just rocks up type thing. And in all honesty, I'm just like a fan. Like I've not got the ability to switch from like, Amrit, you're a fan, or Amrit, are you actually there doing or trying to do a professional job? I can't find that medium. And that's something maybe I need to work on.
Amrit, I will say on behalf of everyone who's tuning in right now, never change, pal. You're always
Thanks, mate.
We don't want any change. We always want to keep the enthusiasm. We want to keep that positivity. And hell, I hope it gets rewarded come the end of the season as well. So always appreciate it, mate. Thank you. And Andrew, we always have the confusion, but you got the S at the end, so we keep it nice and straightforward, so we know who's who. But I always appreciate you coming on, mate. Thank you so much, and especially from your period of mourning. So appreciate you coming out and powering through. So thank you so much, pal.
I did find when I put can I get some bereavement leave in our group chat, that there was a half second in my mind where I went, he might think I've been legit, that I've lost a family member or something like that. And then he went, he gave a typical Stevie response in which he slaughtered me for such a request, in which I had to say, see if it was legitimate, you'd look like a bit of an arse at the minute. But I'm just happy I didn't manage to catch any of my arm here with this tape, and it's going to be a pain to get it off for this bit. But I'm happy to be back on with these lads. A AAA pod. Amrit, just be careful you don't lose any more jackets on the gantry this year. I think you need to get that reimbursed. I think have a chat with the finance department. Apart from that, thanks for having me on.
No, I appreciate it, pal. And there's nothing I wouldn't do for the bit. I've still got my Loch Ness little video that I've got edited together, because it's gonna pay off at the end. The Loch Lomond trip will have changed the whole course of this season for good or for evil. So, folks, as ever, appreciate you all joining us on a Friday night. It always makes it fun. We always have a good time here. So thank you all so very much. I want to thank our lovely sponsors, Rhino Express, Clyde Fire Protection and Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, CSD Air Conditioning, Candid, rydc.co.uk, and our partners Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Our thanks to all of our lovely sponsors. Couldn't do without them. And for RYDC, we are happy to be sponsoring them free of charge, because we just think getting more eyes towards that helps the youth prospects and helps get the club to a better place, better and better. That's what we're all hoping for. And hopefully at the end of the season, we have some shiny things to look at as well. So thank you all so much. We appreciate you joining us. I'm sure there will be a vlog with some commentary from Amrit and Stevie tomorrow. So please keep an eye out for that on Saturday. And yeah, let's hope that as per the last time that Rangers played football, it's another beautiful weekend. Thanks so much for joining us. And until we talk to you again, folks, bye for now.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.